Welcome back to the Macro Golf YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to give you an insight into one of my practice sessions as I am trying to make a technical change to my golf swing. And I know you guys always struggle with making technical changes. And I believe a lot of that is to do with the way that you practice, okay? So typically, we would end up going to the driving range, get a bucket of balls, we'd have the drill or the feel that we're trying to work on, we'd put some ball down and we'll hit them. And we might hit a couple of good ones, but then we start hitting it, not great, as you would do because you're making a change. Maybe strike starts to suffer. Maybe you start to notice that the ball doesn't go as far as it normally would for you. And then ego tick kicks in, the way you want to stand there on the driving range and hit bad golf shots. So you start playing around with it, trying to find strike, trying to go back to hit good golf shots. And then you leave the session and you think, what did I really gain? Well, if you're trying to make a change to the golf swing, then you probably didn't gain a lot, apart from just a little bit more awareness of strike and club face. So if you're serious about making a change to your golf swing, you actually want to make a change, this is the type of practice you need to be doing. Now, normally, I would actually do this with this shutter down, and I'd be hitting a foam ball, but I want to give you a little bit of an insight. So I've got the net up, right? So I'm going to get a little bit more kind of feedback than I normally would in a typical session. But I'm also a little bit further along this journey. So I'm willing to actually hit a proper golf ball now and see the strike. So here's how this video is going to work. I'm going to show you the exact drills that I'm going to go through. Okay, so you might find that some of these drills might be relevant to you. Some of them might not be relevant to you. But what I really want you to take away from today is the way that I practice, the method that I go through to actually start making a change, okay? That's really what, if I was gonna take anything for you to get from this video, it's the structure, the design, and the method rather than the actual drill itself, okay? So if you do pick up anything from the drills, that's a bonus. So we're gonna get started. I've got a 7-iron here. Little tip, I rotate through the clubs of kind of anywhere from 6-iron to 9-iron, and I try and rotate through every week when I practice or every practice session, simply so I don't wear out the grips on one of the clubs. So it's something I've seen quite a lot of. People come in, their 7-irons got no grip left on it, and all the other clubs are fine because all they do is they do all their technical work with the same club. So that's one tip I'm gonna get you, and you can have that one earlier on in this video. So a little bit of an insight into what I've been working on just to set the tone a little bit for you. So I've done a video on this just recently actually, and I'll tag this video below. I've been doing a lot of work on trying to make a big change to my backswing position. So my tendency was to get very rotated early. Club face was getting back behind me. Club face was getting very shut. I was over-rotating, getting into a very over-rotated with a closed club face. And it was causing a lot of issues for me, the fact that I needed to unwind from this quite quickly. Upper body would start to fire, and I'd find myself in a bit of a position of difficulty where I'd have to kind of manufacture something to find strike, either through standing up or through lifting up from the lead arm, okay? So not too bad with wedges, I could kind of get away with it, but when I got to the longer end of the bag, driver, long irons, became a little bit harder, and it just kind of reduced my options of shots that I could hit. So we've been doing a lot of work on trying to change a backswing position, trying to get a little bit more neutral on the way back, club face a little bit more neutral, a little bit more open, and then feeling like I'm winding this into a position that's a little bit more pressured away from me rather than collapsing behind me, feeling like I'm pressuring away, which is shortening it, loading it better, and then from that position, I can now start to fire from the lower half, stand up and release. So a couple of things I'm gonna try and work on today based on this movement. First thing is I'm just gonna re-check into my backswing. I've been doing quite a lot of work on this recently, probably for the last 4 or 5 weeks. If you've been following my journey on Instagram, you would have seen that. So I'm just gonna spend the first 5 minutes checking into that backswing position, make sure those drills are fine. I'll show you some of the drills that I've been doing for backswing. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start to work on the initial downswing trigger. So I've been trying to trigger this a little bit more of a lower body slide and trying to trigger a little bit more backswing position. I'll show you some of the drills I'm gonna be doing on that. And then I'm just gonna hit a couple of full shots at the end to show you how I will structure those full shots and what I would do for that motion. So let's dive straight in. So backswing, one thing I've been working on is trying to get this thing coming back a little bit more neutral. So I've got a few different ways I can do that. The first one is once I go in, I try and do this blind first, have a little look. I'm neutralizing the grip a little bit, and I'm just feeling like I've got this takeaway is becoming a little bit more extended away from me. So I feel like I'm reaching the arms away, taking it away, and then reaching into a top position. So all I would do is I'd walk in, feel like I'm reaching, just working on this first couple of foot, reaching, And then I'd reach away and I've got a mirror to the side of me here, so I'm just watching that position. I then wind it up to the top, have a watch of that position, and have a feel. Once I'm happy with a couple of those, all I would do is get a feel for that again. Reach away, and clip on. Now, you'll know, because you'll be able to wind back on the video, how long did it take to do 1 rep there? How long did it take to chip a ball 40 yards down the fairway? Probably a lot longer than it would have taken most people if you'd have gone on steps on the driving range and seen that position. So you see here that I'm not caring about, I don't even care about strike. I don't even care if I can miss the ball. I don't really care, to be honest. I'm literally not worried about anything apart from getting this dialed in. And I won't make you watch all of these. Eventually I'll run out of interesting things to say and I'll skip forward, but essentially I'm just focused on this back bit, getting this right, checking in for today, making sure that nothing's gone backwards, making sure setup's still neutral. Cool. There's 2 balls down. I'm gonna hit my other 3 and I'll check back in with you guys. Okay, says 5 balls clipped away. Hit a nice little shank in the middle of that as well, which I'll keep in. So you can just see hopefully how deliberate that process was. I almost didn't care about anything once I got to the bit that I was right. I was kind of just, if anything, I'm just clipping it away for the sake of it, if anything, right? So if you get to the driving range, there's always a couple of rubbish balls in that basket. Pull out those rubbish balls, use with 5, and if you are working on something in the backswing, that's the time to clip those away. So for me, I've been working on this a while, so these sessions before, when I was hitting foam balls just working on backswing, that might have been half an hour, literally that, like, which is a bit mental, right? The other thing I didn't do today, which I would normally do, is I would have the camera based up behind me, and almost after every rep, I'd go back, 1 or 2 reps, I'd go back and watch the video, just make sure that I was working on that. And I've got my checkpoints that I'm working on specifically. So for me, I'll show you down this camera, I'm specifically making sure that this first couple of foot stays in a good position, and then making sure that by the time the club is parallel to the ground, I'm in a good position back here, not too wrapped inside, not too shut. So that'll be the second checkpoint I'd be after, and a third checkpoint I'd be after was just making sure this club head was matching left forearm at the top of the backswing. So that'd be my 3 checkpoints I would look for in backswing, and I would literally just check those in the backswing, not even watch the rest of it, don't care, right? I'm just working on that little bit. So that's my backswing kind of check-in done, per my blueprint. Now I'm going to start to work a little bit more on this downswing trigger, which is a new move for me working this week. Okay, so a little bit on the downswing. So once I've got into this better position, what this is going to allow me to do is going to allow me to start to press better through the lower half. Because I've got off it a little bit more, it allows me to pressure onto it a little bit better and then work up and out of it. And from my last lesson with Jack, we realized that my feeling of space and my feeling of time comes from a good kind of dissociation between upper body and lower body, and this left shoulder coming up. As soon as I create this going this way and this lifting and creating this shape, that for me feels like I've got all the time in the world. When I get a little bit too that way, I get a little bit too stuck, I can't get over it, and then I have to kind of lift and hold, which is the feeling of not having the space, not having the time, which is not a nice feeling, right? Everyone in golf realizes that simply having space and time is where all of your best golf will live. So now let's talk about how I'm going to start to work on that movement, right? What you'll notice is golf ball is gone and towel is now in. Now the reason I'm going to go for a towel for these first few reps is simply because I, at the moment, still don't care about strike. And if there's a golf ball there, and this is quite a drastic change, what I'm going to find is I'm going to make some adjustments to try and find strike in some way, right? Naturally, we're just going to try and find strike. I'm not just going to stand here and top it or stand here and miss it. My body naturally will try and find strike. So if I've made a bad move, it will try and adjust and find strike. But it's natural at the moment for me to be in a slightly different position and not have natural ability to find strike. So it would be normal for me to, hit some bad golf shots. By putting the towel in, it allows me to not have to worry about making compensations for that. But the second thing it allows me to do is it allows me to still go with a little bit of speed. So if you didn't have anything and I was just hitting thin air, there's nothing for me to stop. So there's no kind of requirement of speed or bracing, where once I've got a towel in there, I've actually hitting something, I'm more likely to see my natural tendencies come out. So that's something we've noticed. So all I'm gonna do here is get a feel for the work that I'm trying to get in, and I'm just gonna have a couple of reps on this. This would be when I'd be very, very keen to film this. So this would be cameras on both angles and having a good look of what this looks like, right? Luckily, you guys are gonna be my own reference when I go back and watch this, but I'd be still feeling like that backswing position is coming in, and then feel like once I've got into a position, I can start to go and post up and release. So I just get a feel what that's like, and then I would walk in, get into position, try and keep set up, pretty much the same as I would do, have a little rehearsal if I need it, and then just have all focus on exactly the move that I'm trying to make. Good, so I just kind of take a second, have a little bit of reference. For me, it felt there like, it felt like my foot pressures were still a little bit forward at that motion. So I could feel like I hadn't completely got out this way. I'd kind of gone a tiny bit there. So just from foot pressure, I can kind of learn from that, right? So even without ball flight, I can learn from how it felt, how my foot pressures by my finish position. I felt like I had a little bit of space, but I just felt like foot pressure a little bit off. So I'd try and take that into the next rep. The other good thing about this practice is it is now tracking down the rain, freezing cold outside. We get the heaters on in here, stay nice and dry. You can get better at golf without suffering in the winter. So there you go, it's an extra bonus. Back into the second rep. Same focus, I'm just gonna feel like this pressure goes. I probably just need to work a little bit harder out the other side. Same thing, feel it, post, and throw. So that felt a lot better. I feel like this finish position is a lot stronger. I feel like I've turned through. I would count that as a good rep in terms of my feeling. Again, just like paying attention to the speed of these reps as well. Like, that's what I like, it's another thing I like about towel, having to go and get it every time, breaks the reps up. It's not as if I've not got basketballs here, I'm just scraping out and hitting again. I'm judging the move. I'm judging the move as a successful rep. I'm not judging strike or ball flight, right? I can make a terrible move here and flush it. That's possible. I can also make a really good move and top it, right? So I don't care about that at the moment. This type of practice is very, very deliberate on the move that I'm trying to make, right? We can bring all the performance stuff back in when the time comes. But for now, it's just going to be a distraction on what I'm trying to change, right? Let's go back in. Feel that move. Got a mirror in front of me that I can use here just to feel that. Feel the hands dragging away. Mirror here. Good position. Backswing still looks good. Back in we go. Post and throw. Good. So I can learn a little bit from the towel there. Probably just didn't have quite enough chuck, quite enough forward. Towel gets wrapped round. I can learn from that. But the body movement itself, relatively good. Probably could just be a little bit more aggressive through it. Okay, we do one more rep here. No idea how we're doing for time. Just almost not caring how many reps I get done here, as long as I'm just in this moment, high quality, good practice. To be honest, one good thing I like about filming these videos, it means I'm fully engaged on what I'm doing. There's no distraction for me. I'm not getting distracted by anything now. You guys are keeping me accountable here to make sure I'm practicing correctly. Same again. Backswing, just chuck and go. Good. That felt nice. That felt pretty good. I'm probably gonna do one more rep of that and then we'll move on. Okay. I think that was 5 reps, probably took a decent amount of time. I feel like that part of the practice was pretty productive. I'm gonna put a golf ball in now. I'm gonna show you a drill that I've been using with a golf ball and alignment sticks. Okay, next drill, put a camera down the line for you so you can see this drill. Got 2 alignment sticks, which are basically representing a straight line down to the net. Now it's going to get a little bit more of my eye in just for kind of matching up a little bit of path and face, and it's going to give me instant feedback on exactly what I'm going to do here, face and path. So we've got the full swing device, which I'm going to bring in for the last bit of this practice. But the idea of this is to give me a bit of a visual aid just to align back some of these positions. Obviously, I'm making quite a drastic change here of all body position, and this just gives me a little bit of a reference and a little bit of quick feedback. So ball goes in the middle, sticks. I'm just going to start. This is actually fairly generous, to be honest. I could actually go a lot narrower this. I'll hit this one here first, and then I'll narrow them in a little bit after this one. But essentially, we're just trying to make the good move, right? If I make a good move here, I'm going to get a good result. I'll miss the sticks. I should get a pretty clean strike, and it's going to give me good feedback immediately. You know, if I hit one of these sticks, I might do it here. I could say I'll do it by purpose, but I'll probably do it by accident anyway. I'll let you know what that means in terms of feedback, okay? So let's hit this one first. Let's see how we go. So I'm still feeling like I'm getting to this good backswing position, still feeling all the feels that I had with the towel. Same thing. Cool. Probably cheated a little bit there as I put the club down and moved the sticks a little bit, so I made it a little bit easier for myself. Let's make it a little bit harder. So I've got two different points of reference here. I've got one reference, which is the feeling like the move was correct. So there I felt like the move was pretty good. And then I've got the second reference of hitting the sticks or not hitting the sticks, right? Let's go, let's push myself. Let's go here. It's pretty narrow. I feel like I can just get a good move, out and shot. So you can see there, stick moved, told me I caught it either a little bit toe side or because it moved this way, path probably just got a little bit left. So I just need to keep this working through a little bit more. So perfect bit of reference for me. Let's go back and try again. Now if you want to see something impressive, you should see Jack demonstrate this drill. There's a width there that looks like it's even smaller than the club head. He manages to find a way to hit this thing, so I'm not going to find any excuses. If he can do it, there's no reason why I can't try and replicate. So all I need to know now is I obviously just got a little bit this way. You can see from down the line. So I just need to make sure I'm just holding this a tad longer along the train tracks. Let's go again. See that? Didn't touch a single one of them. Pretty good. Let's do one more of these. In terms of like what type of practice I don't even know how I would describe this type of practice. I suppose it kind of is technical practice, but there's a lot of external feedback, which I like. But believe it or not, there's a bit of consequence on this. Like you'll stand over this with, you know, two alignment sticks either side. You feel like I don't want to smack those alignment sticks. A little bit of pressure being built into it that there wasn't there with the certainly there wasn't there with the towel. So there's a little bit of pressure just being put on this. But what I like is I know that if I just make a good move, if I make a good swing, everything will be fine, right? And sometimes that's a nice mentality from the golf balls. You see that I can use these train tracks also for this first backswing drill, which is a little bit of a bonus. Let's hit one more. Not bad. Didn't hit the sticks, just a tiny bit thin. Good reference. Let's just finish on a good one. One more. Let's finish on a good one. Clip the stick a tiny bit again, so we're starting to notice a pattern. I'm not going to hit another one, but you can start to see the pattern, right? So my pattern is tiny bit on the thin side, tiny bit club exiting a little bit too far left. So you can see the exact purpose of these, forcing me to have to keep a little bit more this way and forcing me to go this way. All the two things that I really need to work on to get this move dialed in a little bit more. So for today, that would be enough. I had like 20 minutes of practice or so. So this has been a really good productive 20 minutes. What I'd probably find is later in the day, if I had a little bit more time, what I'd then do is get the full swing device out, get that set up. I might do the same drill as this, but with the full swing, just to confirm what I'm seeing with some of these patterns and match up what path number would be a good result on this. So typically for me, a good shot is around a +2 path. So I'd probably expect that +2 path on this would create a good result. If path started to get a little bit less than that, you might find that I'd kind of catch golf ball and then hit one of the sticks on the way out, which means I'm probably just exiting a little bit too much left on the way through. So that would be a really good way for me to match up path and face using a full swing as good external feedback. And then the final thing I'll do is might do a little bit of competitive practice where we do one of our games like our twos game or random number generator, just to keep a little bit of competitive flow and keep a little bit of competitive touch in there. But you notice how I've drifted that away from the technical work when we're focusing too much on the move. I really want to try and keep those things separate at this time of year when I can. So hopefully you took something from that video. Hopefully you took something from, if you remember from the start, I said the structure, the method, the discipline of actually making a move like this. Maybe you picked up one or two things in terms of the drills that I'm working on as well that you can take into your own game, but really emphasizing the structure, the discipline. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 golf balls out there at the moment. You know, like that's not a lot of golf shots, right? Hit a couple of towels. I think this is something that if you were to do it at the driving range, 20 balls at the driving range, and you can be there for an hour and you can work on this stuff. Maybe you get a net set up at home. Maybe you've got foam balls you can use at home. Maybe you've got a towel you can hit at home. And this type of 20-minute practice session can be done away from the driving range, not even at the driving range. You can do it at home, away from the driving range, do all your technical work there. And then when you get to the driving range, you can hit shots and have fun. So hopefully you took something from this. Hopefully you learned something. If you want help on any of this stuff, if you want a little bit more info about my journey, or if you want to learn a little bit more about how our coaching could help you, all the links to that are below this video. You can also fill out our free scorecard where you're going to get a deep analysis of your golf game, and there will also be a free performance plan for the winter that you can start to work on. It takes around 2 minutes to complete the survey, and then after that you get a free report of everything you can do to improve your game this winter. All of that is below this video in the caption. Until then guys, I will see you on the next video.